Okay. Now, I mentioned that we're the something. The last segment, the something that is there because we have to be the something. Like, that's why there has to be nothing. There has to be absolutely nothing. Okay. There's a comedy to that, though. Nothing battles nothing. The story keeps on going on, actually, to like the universe, battling universes endlessly, and then everything, God battling God endlessly, because of loneliness, too. Because nothing makes sense, nothing is right. God sometimes isn't lonely. Sometimes God is lonely, because all the gods, yes, there's a lot of gods. Every universe pretty much has many gods that are around. The God we know is a Catholic God. And he can't know God that much either. That's why he's lonely. He can't know God. As it says in the Bible, when he's on the mountain, he can't look at God. God is like that. Really. The thing of it is, such a comedy, actually. See, the problem with me is that I fuck everything up. Everything. I know my shortcomings. I have a intelligence level to me that is nice. But I for some reason, I get so far just to fuck everything up sometimes. And that's a comedy in and of itself. People always have good size attributes and shortcomings. Okay. The funny thing is, that's why there's a big problem. And I'll explain why. As the universe keeps on battling, there'll be nothing. But that takes a long time. And God keeps on battling the gods. And that's not funny. And when they battle, there'll be no structure for us that much. So there'll be nothing that holds us together. And a lot of things will happen. And people will battle people too much. But I'll tell you this saga and this comedy. It looks like we're in the primitive. The whole thing is the primitive. The whole entire thing. To the highest extent, like I talked about, to any extent that you could fathom, is in the primitive. I'll explain why. It looks like what keeps everything together is a massive giant outside of the picture. Not God, but a massive giant that eats everything, eats the whole thing all the time. And he gets devoured too eventually. And then etc., etc. It keeps on going on endlessly. Then the giants, then the giants battle that are outside the picture. Not Lucy, the giants that are outside the whole thing. When the thing becomes static space, it starts all over again, just to be like the same kind of stuff again. But it could change. It could change, but usually the change is minimal, too minimal. And we start all over again. When the universe is finally demolished, all the universes, the static space, or something like it, and it starts again because it just does. And then what happens is everything keeps on battling because of endlessness. The comedy of the endlessness is intrinsic to one thing. The whole thing is a cube. Like I mentioned, the forces created a box one Genesis around here. Well, that's very funny. The forces probably know some stuff. 8,000 forces of box one Genesis. God and the 8,000 forces of box one Genesis. All right, it's interesting. The problem, everything that's ever been existent. I'll explain this. For us, is a box. The whole thing is a box. What shows it clearly are two things, really. I already had Judith's book, Wheels of Life, which I showed you before. The front cover, if you have the one with the oval and the woman in it, and there's a box outside of it. That's interesting. And also, Edwin A. Abbott, A Romance of Many Dimensions, Flatland. There's a box going on a plane. Now, that's interesting. It's conceptual, but the whole thing, the whole entire fucker, is a box with Lucy in it, everything, gods, everything. The whole thing, we're blockheads. Everything's a blockhead. You know why? I know this because I've been in existence so long too. I actually crack up at the whole picture, and then a comedy happens. A kid plays with it, who's in a perfect existence. A kid plays with a box, these are pretty large, they don't know the size of the child. As it were, a toy, really. A primitive toy.